This is Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage, your home for everything Wisconsin sports. Now, your host, Trage.
You gotta love the trumpets. That's for darn sure. You gotta love the trumpets there. This is Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. It is the 2nd of February. What a 2nd of February. What a 2nd of February. Had a basketball tournament today. The boys down in Neilsville there, and it was one of them days. It was one of them days. I had two guards on my entire team. One of them played the first game. He looked tired. He looked tired. Like I knew he looked tired during the game. Did not know that he threw up that morning. Did not even tell his mother that he threw up that morning. And, he threw up all over the table in the cafeteria while we were sitting there waiting for the next game. And, that's about how well the day went right there for us. So, I mean, it was a good day. It was a good day. It's always a good day when you get youth basketball and just see some of the up-and-coming, good players that are coming up in the high school ranks here soon there. So some good stuff there. We watched the Badgers get a win over the weekend there. The Pro Bowl was today. I didn't watch it. I was busy. I didn't care, first off, but I didn't watch it. So that happened today here. But there was breaking news in the NBA. There was all kinds of stuff. So I got Aaron here tonight with me. Aaron, how we doing on this Sunday? I mean, weekend's over, sadly. I mean, too fast. But hey, we're here. We're ready to talk about sports.
No, absolutely. I mean, I can't lie to you. There were a couple times, throughout I was working today, I joke with my Cowboys buddy there at work, and I'm like, what's the score of this game? What's the score? And it's like, dead zone. It's just weird. It's that first Sunday without any, no playoff football or anything. So I'm trying to cope a little bit, but it could be a lot worse. And not a bad day over here. And you never know, man. Next season, I think better results are coming your way for your little coaching career you got going down there. So,
we'll be fine. We'll be just fine. We just, got to keep kids healthy and keep them out there. That's the big part. But that was a big thing. Over the weekend, I mean, I went shopping. My wife, she was baby shower this weekend there. So she sent me grocery shopping. I had the mission, right? She sent me on the mission. It was a tall task. All right. I got pictures of everything I had to get. Like, I was invested into this. We go to Aldi. And I don't know, you got all these out there in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, actually real close to me.
Perfect. Well, and you've probably been to or seen the Aldi there. I'm going to Aldi, right? I didn't go into Target. She knows I hate Target, so she got a pickup order for Target. So that was fine. Go to Aldi, and it is just booming. There's probably about 60 people in the store. And mind you, it's not that big of a town, Marshfield, Wisconsin. Like that, okay, it's big enough, but like usually Aldi isn't bustling with 60 people at a time. There's like 60 people in this store. And I got my grandma with me, and she's pushing the cart because she's a little crazy old lady, and she's all after them and out there, And I'm just like, what is going on? Well, we got up to the register, and I love the cash registers at Aldi's because those guys, they're checking out and they're throwing it into your cart on the other side like a million miles per hour. I'm like, thank God I didn't get eggs, right? And this guy, we're sitting there, we're like, busy day, huh? He's like, yeah, you would think people haven't seen snow. And we're like, well, what do you mean? Well, apparently a lot of people coming in said that they've heard that there was going to be some snow, 2 inches of snow that we were going to get in Wisconsin, and they were freaking out. So they went to the grocery store to stock up. I was like, are you kidding? Like, we haven't got snow in that. Like, I get it hasn't snowed a lot, but 2 inches of snow, and we're out here like dang near the apocalypse is starting. So that was the weekend right there. That was the weekend, having to go to Aldi there and just deal with the chaos that was. I mean, there was no handicap spots left. My grandma had to walk from the other side of the parking lot because the handicap spots are all full. Shame on Aldi. Only 3 handicap parking spots in Marshfield, Wisconsin. That's just silly. We need 4. We need 4 or 5. Come on. Just ridiculous there. But, I mean, all in all, got the groceries. That's what mattered. Did not get organic popcorn chicken, but outside of that, found it all. Found everything on the list. So we're good there. So that's enough about my weekend. That's enough about my weekend there. Let's get to what happened here in the NBA because there was a big, surprising, broke in the middle of the night deal. I woke up to this morning. I woke up to this. I looked at my phone. I was like, are you serious? Like this actually happened? So Luka Doncic, everybody really knows about Luka, right? people kind of forget about Anthony Davis. I forgot about Anthony Davis in the past, but people forget about Anthony Davis. But Luka Doncic is on his way to the Lakers. Just overnight. This trade just kind of happened. I don't, from what I heard, Luka didn't ask out. Luka didn't want out. It was more about his availability for the Mavs. They just maybe didn't want to sign him to a supermax. They didn't want to get to that point just because of his availability, his injury proneness. I don't know. But Anthony Davis, last season, he got clocked in the head and he left in a wheelchair. I mean, I remember Shaq and Charles were making fun of him on a post-game show because he had a concussion and he left in a wheelchair. That's Anthony Davis in a nutshell for you. And you're worried about injury prone. You're bringing a guy like Anthony Davis. What's that doing for you? I don't know. I mean, the Mavs, they maybe needed that two-way, big, experienced forward to throw down there. Kyrie's still around. You lose the scoring. The guy who willed you to a championship in Luka Doncic. It'd be like if I would have woke up this morning and it crossed my screen and said Giannis Antetokounmpo has been traded. Buck fans would quit on the Bucks. We'd be done with it. Just because that's how much Giannis means to the Bucks. I don't understand this trade from the simple standpoint of that's how much Luka meant to the Mavs. And you got relatively nothing for him. I saw the Kevin Durant trade that when he left the Nets there, and it was just utterly ridiculous how many pieces that the Brooklyn Nets received back. Pick on top of pick on top of pick. And then a couple of players, Cam Johnson in that one, and I can't remember who the other player is off the top of my head. But they got 2 players there and a boatload of picks. And for Luka, you got Anthony Davis. I think Max Christie. Was that the other one there? Was Max Christie?
Yep.
Get returned in the deal there, and then a pick. What did you in all reality get out of this if you're the Mavs? I don't think you got better. I see all these people out here, they're like, oh, A+ deal for the Mavs. I'm like, how? Luka hasn't played since, and even for the Lakers, Luka hasn't played since, I thought they said Christmas last time I saw. But now what the hell was the point of bringing in Klay Thompson if you're going to unload the core? Because you brought in Klay Thompson to put around Luka, to put around Kyrie, and to build that core together. Now you send out Luka and you bring in AD. It makes sense, I guess, almost in the grand scheme of things. Have a big, have a shooter, have a guard. I guess that makes sense in the grand scheme of things. But Luka was the heart and soul of that team. Yeah, he got people made fun of him all the time because he was slow. He didn't seem like his moves were very slow and methodical. I'll give you that one. It wasn't like it was a fast move to the basket, but Luka was the heart and soul of that team. And if I'm a Mavs fan, I'm pissed. I'm like, he didn't want to leave. If he wanted to leave, sure. I am all for, if there's a guy on my team who's I really don't want to play like Jimmy Butler is right now, I'm all for getting rid of a guy like that. That just ruins your team. Luka, from what we know and what I saw, I didn't get a full chance to read through his heartfelt goodbye letter across social media. But from what I could gather, it's a very heartfelt, very emotional, very sad, leaving this place. I don't know if he wanted to leave. And yet we kind of just, see you later, buddy. To the wind. I hate that. I hate when you do that to a guy because of what he's meant to your organization, getting you to the finals. He took you to the finals. You didn't win, but he took you there. I don't know, Aaron. I hate it. I hate it for a guy like Luka who's put so much into this organization. They sucked. I mean, they sucked when he started there. They were sucking. And he stuck it out. Could have said, hey, guys, I want out of here. Never did. And now you move on from him for Anthony Davis. Oh, I mean, Anthony Davis has been irrelevant to the league since he went to the Lakers. So I don't even know what to say to this. I think this is utterly ridiculous. I think you just traded a cornerstone piece of your franchise. And if I'm a Mavs fan, I'm pissed. I'm pissed today.
Absolutely. I mean, this one, you follow the NBA closer than I do, but obviously I catch up and watch playoff basketball. Just this on paper is so just upside down to me for the Mavs, just kind of for the reasons that you already said. I mean, bring up another Laker there, like Kobe, right? He would be calling Anthony Davis softer than Charmin. You know what I mean? That was one of his things. Kobe always said soft. You're getting a guy who is just pudding. Like, this guy is so soft. He's I don't know. If I'm a Mavs fan, I'm sitting there like, yeah, we're cooked. We're sauteed. Like, this team's not going anywhere. I mean, yes, the injury concerns with Luka is a shame. I mean, but you're trading for an equal liability in injuries with Anthony Davis. Like, he is about as banged up as anybody every single year. Like, he reminds me of Stanton on the Yankees. Like, book him for 20. I mean, NBA obviously less games. They're 82, but it's like book him for 20 to 40 games missed every year. That's per usual for him. So I just, I don't know, man. Like, the reasons you said, he was the heart and soul of this team. I had no idea. I don't know if you heard that, he was like a potential trade piece at all. I didn't even know that. But yeah, I just, from a Maverick standpoint, and I got to look at like, the GM, this and that, but like, what's Mark Cuban really doing? I ever since Dirk Nowitzki retired, yes, they've gotten there, but I don't think they put together the best rosters. They just look, they counted on Hardaway to be a big piece. He didn't really do that much. I mean, Porzingis, what did he really give you when he was there? Like, I just, outside of Luka and Kyrie, what have they really put together? Luka was like their, that was all in with Luka. And I was, I'm a big Luka guy. It's hard to be now because he's going to play with LeBron and I cannot stand rooting for LeBron, but it's, if I'm a Mavs fan, like, I'm sitting there like, make it make sense, because it sure doesn't. This could be like one of the worst. They might look back 3-4 years from now and be like, this was a colossal mistake. I feel like they have no reason, or they have no expectation to go anywhere now. Like, now what? Like, it's just.
From what I was reading, I was reading his farewell, and he kind of snubbed the Mavs. So no, he had no idea. He had absolutely no idea what was going to happen in this whole grand scheme of things. I think he's upset that he got traded. He wanted, like he said in his thing, he wanted to bring a championship to Dallas. Never was given the opportunity. According to Mark Cuban, he had nothing to do with the trade. So I just saw that. I was just scrolling around here. Mark Cuban said he had nothing to do with the Mavericks Luka Doncic trades. Shocker there. So they said, I don't know if this is true. It's from a guy on Twitter, Chris Davis was his name. It said that they approached the Bucks about Giannis first. They asked about Giannis for Doncic. So apparently Doncic, he's been on the trade block for the Mavs. The Mavs just didn't tell him that that's what was going on. So we'll see what kind of happens there. What do we got here? Rob on Facebook there, he says Fox to the Spurs, Levine to Sacramento. Okay.
I like Levine.
I've never hated Levine. He just always seems to be out. He always seems to be injured there. Yeah. They've talked about the Bucks going after Levine too, and I know Chris Middleton's still on a trade block. Bobby Portis has been at home, so he's been pissed off. So I'm guessing he's going to get traded here pretty soon. He hasn't played in the last couple, and then Pat Connaughton. But if they move on for Pat Connaughton, I'll get over it pretty darn fast. Like, that'll be A-okay with me. I mean, we're waiting to see what the Bucks do here. I mean, they're running close to the trade deadline. We'll see what the Bucks do to move on. I don't know if they move on from Middleton. I don't. Bobby, maybe. Pat Connaughton for sure. I'm okay with moving on from there, but I just don't know if they blow up that core with Middleton. It's like you take the good with the bad with Middleton right now. I like Middleton. The injuries worry you. He's getting a little bit slower. You get that with age. I think that's the Bucks in general, though, right now. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. At some point, I think the Bucks have got to accept it and just kind of move on from some of these guys. Brook Lopez, etc. Move on from some of these guys. Trade for either, assets or trade for picks, whatever it is. Build yourself back up from the youth up. That's what you got to do. Like, I know you got Giannis, and you only got so many years of Giannis, and I get that. Now you have Dame. But at some point, you kind of just got to bite the bullet and move on. And I'm waiting to see what the Bucks do. Here come towards the trade deadline. So we're at the 14-minute mark here. We got to hit an ad break. We're going to come back. We got a question about Wisconsin basketball there. Well, high school Wisconsin basketball. We're going to get to that. We got Badger talking to later on here in the show, and then a little Packers here to wrap us up. So we're going to hit the ad break, come back. We'll get into all of that when we
This show is brought to you by these fantastic sponsors. Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in to see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville. Next, we have Sport and Spine Clinic of Greenwood. Have you been injured recently, whether it was at work, shoveling snow, or mowing the lawn? Stop in and see Chad at Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. He will get you right, get you back to work, back to shoveling snow, back to mowing the lawn, doing whatever you were doing, feeling better than ever. And then we have Game Day Supply in Onalaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply in Onalaska to help your team get the sweetest gear.
I just got that deal. I see, Rob, you mentioned that before. Sorry, Rob. I thought you were just kind of throwing like a random suggestion out there. I just saw the deal happen. Breaking news, Kings finalizing deal to send. Oh, now it doesn't load on me, but it looked like it was going to be De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs there. Interesting. So we got another move happening there. I mean, wow. Okay. NBA free agency is not free agent. Trade deadline. Just getting hot right now. We'll see if the Bucks get involved here pretty darn soon. I think they would have to. I don't know how you watch deals like this happen if you're the Milwaukee Bucks and you're just like, we just sit pat. We just don't do anything here to get better. Like, they got to do something. They got to do something to try to improve what they got right now. So we'll see. We'll see kind of what the Bucks do there. But I had a question. So, I mean, Aaron, you're a Philly guy, but you can talk on this. So right now, Wisconsin high school basketball, they don't implement a shot clock and they don't implement a charge circle. So I don't know if you know what the charge circle, like that underneath the hoop there, they have that little half circle there. And they don't have either one. So I've seen a lot of people talking about it across social media. I was just wondering what our thoughts were on it. I have always been a firm believer, and I'd love them to implement the shot clock into high school basketball. I have been a part of, and I have seen games where there is like a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of clock killed. And I saw at one point 2 minutes of clock killed on one possession. And those games get old fast. And it's a keep away game. It's one of those kind of, it's not what you want in a basketball game. You want the ball to be moving. You want guys to have to make moves. You want them to have to play basketball. You don't want them just to be able to stand on the perimeter. And because I watched a guy once, they had it at half court, brought it across the half court, and they said, don't go and guard him. So he stood at 3-point line. And that guy stood at half court, and he just dribbled. And he dribbled. And I watched 6 minutes, I kid you not, of clock burn off before this coach said, go get him. And then he sent him after him. 6 minutes of clock. Like, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I am all for the shot clock because it leads to what I believe makes better basketball, and that is more of a high octane getting after it kind of game. Not being, you still can slow it down, but you're forced to do things. You're forced in those 30 seconds. You can't just run the clock. You see a lot of these upsets, and I know a lot of these upsets happen because of this, where you can just kill clock. This team goes up, like, say they're up 10. They can sit there and kill the clock for 3 minutes. I don't want that. I want them to have to take a shot in 30 seconds and then give the ball back to whoever. Like, that's where I want to see the game get to. Because I think there's too many times where late in games or anything like that, you're just playing keep away, right? It's the same thing if you get a lead with, say you take a 2-point lead or you have a 2-point lead with a minute 30 left. And this team comes down, they miss the shot, you still have that 2-point lead, you get the ball back. They don't want to foul. They're just playing tough defense on you, but you can kill all that clock down, right? And they're forced to foul you early because they don't have a shot clock on their back. I'd rather see it. There's a shot clock. Now you have to get a shot off in 30 seconds. So this team is guaranteed, hey, if we get a rebound here, all we got to do is play this out. If we get a rebound here, we're guaranteed that we can get the ball back one more time. I want to see the game trend in that direction because I feel like there's a lot more benefits to the shot clock than no shot clock in high school basketball. I really do. I think it would lead, like I said, to a lot better basketball, but I think it would get guys ready for the next level too. I mean, there's guys, look at in De Pere there, Jack Kingiser from De Pere there. He's going to be heading off to Madison next year. I know he's going to adjust pretty easily to a shot clock, but get these guys ready for a shot clock when they get up to the college level, right? Because right now they're not utilizing the shot clock. They got all the time in the world to do whatever they want. Well, once you get to the college level, you got to adjust fast to that shot clock, being able to get shots off, everything like that. I wouldn't hate the shot clock. I mean, where are you at, Aaron? Like, you hear all that. I mean, would you be opposed to a shot clock in high school basketball?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I can't believe. I mean, to be honest, it's been so long since I went to like a high school basketball game, and at my local high school, like the one I attended, right? But I can't remember. Like, I feel like we had a shot clock though. Maybe I'm mistaken. I could be in the same
I
situation.
don't know.
I feel like we did, but regardless of that, like, yeah, I mean, it only makes sense, right? You're kind of modifying the game, or like maybe dumbing it down. I don't know exactly how to put it, but I wouldn't enjoy that very much aesthetically from a fan standpoint. Like you said, I mean, imagine just the guy at the 3-point line, just like dribbling back, forth, and then passing it to somebody, then passing back to him, back, forth, back. Like that's just not. That's like backyard basketball, right? Like that's like pickup shirts versus skins. You're with your boys down the street at the local park type of deal. Like we can't have competitive, organized basketball in that way. So yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, I think I don't want to call it like stupid. Like maybe that's a little harsh, but like it's not very logical to not have it in my personal opinion, just because like you said, they get to the next level, then it's like, oh, okay, now like the whole rhythm of the game is different. And you're talking about better players at the next level, faster, more athletic, everything else. And now you're like, okay, now I have to adjust to the shot clock. We baseball, different story, I know, but remember how pitchers were like, oh my, like, how are we going to adjust to this pit, the clock in baseball? So the earlier you can, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with it in middle school, right? Like getting kids, okay. Like it's part of the game. It's part of the NBA. It's part of college. Like it's just the shot. Like to me, it's weird the shot clock isn't there already. You know what I mean? That's where I stand.
No, I would agree. And I was just looking it up there. Apparently you can decide from what I saw, it's a state by state thing. Huh. So the National Federation of State High School Associations approved a 35-second shot clock for high school basketball, but each state can decide whether to adopt it. So some states must do it, some states don't. Looks like they 9-5 against vote adopting it in 2022. So they didn't technically adopt it to have to at this point. So they're kind of just working it through right now, but you can if you want. I saw somebody said that they have one in California. I don't know. I don't care what California does, but they have one out in California, apparently, from what he said. But I wouldn't be opposed to it at all. I think it would be beneficial to the game, and I think it would keep it moving. It'd keep it moving along. It keeps teams honest, keeps them on their toes, and makes better basketball, I believe, at the end of the day, when you actually have to move it and you're not able to just burn the clock and burn the clock and burn the clock. That leads to a lot of problems. So, I mean, yeah, I'm all in for that. The charge circle, too. I saw somebody talk about the charge circle. I think they should have a charge circle. I don't understand why that. If anything, I would understand the shot clock, because I think it would be, how do you get every high school team to pay to put a shot clock in above the basket? Because that's where you'd have to put it. So it's going to lead to money problems, I would say, with shot clock, because you can't just have it up on the scoreboard. It has to be above the basket. Always you have guys constantly looking up at the scoreboard to figure out how much time's left. So I think they would have to, it'd be a money problem there. But the charge circle, that's just player safety. Like you should have a charge circle underneath there. So that way you have to have, where can I stand before I am going to get a foul called on me? Where is it going to be a problem? That's what you have to have a charge circle, because I've seen too many times guys drive in, and I've seen too many charges get taken with the guy standing underneath the basket. And I know you're going to say, well, referees are supposed to know that. Yeah, they're supposed to, right? But we've seen our fair share of referees who get on our nerves and irritate us a little bit. And guess what? There are a lot of them in high school basketball because they get paid by the hour. It's not like they're the best of the best. If they were the best of the best, they'd be, well, no, I shouldn't say that, because I've seen referees in the NFL and everything like that. It doesn't make a difference.
That's fair.
But I mean, end of the day, they're human, right? They're going to make errors. They're not going to see it there. You have a charge circle. You're able to see where a guy can legally stand or where he legally can't stand. I think it just improves the game that much more. And it makes player safety 101. That's all that it is. You have to keep your players safe. And when I think of something as simple as that, that's what I'm looking for. So I think the charge circle is definitely needed in high school sports just to protect the players.
Yeah, I'm on board with that as well. I mean, once again, you're making it, like, my biggest thing is, I mean, I shouldn't put it above player safety, I guess, but it's like, just making it more equivalent to the next level, right? Like I just feel like once you get to high school, I mean, there's, now you're kind of flirting with, hey, am I going to go, am I going to go play college ball? Am I, you start learning, where am I at in development as far as the basketball career, maybe outside of the academic, you're in school, you're playing ball, like what's it going to be, that type of thing. So once again, like you said too, like player safety plays into that as well. It just feels like it's just like Stone Age to not have it to me. Like, I don't know, like maybe it's like other people feel differently. It's bad. It's college, it's high school. Let's have a little bit more, be a little bit more loose with it. But I don't know. High school is, I mean, where I went to school, like everything was pretty competitive, school to school to school. I imagine it's the same way,
I think you got to keep it a little bit looser in college, but you still have to try and get down to the roots. And I think the shot clock has become huge in not just college, but the next level, the pro level after that, European League, whatever it is becoming huge. So I think implementing that, the charge circle, that's just player safety. I mean, that's as simple as painting the line on the floor. Like that doesn't require much money at all or anything like that. That's just keeping your guys safe. And if you are opposed to that, I don't know why. Like, I don't understand why. And I just feel like I want to teach my kids, like, hey, don't undercut a kid. Like, that should be basketball 101. And when you're standing underneath the hoop and a guy's come driving in at you and you just stand there, you're undercutting him. You're taking away his landing zone, right? You got to give a guy a landing zone. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a guy dunk and he's got to hold onto the rim for even longer because there's a guy standing right below him. And if he lets go, he's going to land right on top of him. And then the refs are like, well, don't hold on to the ball or don't hold on to the rim so long, right? It's like, what is he supposed to do? And I get you're not supposed to hold on to the rim. Like, that's what college. I mean, you're not, because it's showboating, and I get it, right? You grab the rim, you let go of it. Like, that's plain and simple. Well, you see a lot of guys, they hold on to it a little bit longer because you got a guy below them. And you see refs all the time. They're like, hey, let go. Like, what are you doing up there? And it's like, what do you want him to do? Fall on top of this guy who didn't get the heck out of the way? Like, it's pretty easy there. So, I mean, simply player safety. That's where I'm at with the charge circle there. And the shot clock, I think the shot clock needs to be implemented just for pace of play of basketball games. Keep them competitive, keep them real. Get, like you said, get guys ready for the next level there. But the biggest thing for me is just keeping the pace of the game. Because when you take away that shot clock, you're allowing teams for 2 minutes of offense, 3 minutes of offense. I don't like that. I don't. I mean, I like good offense where it's constantly moving. Like, I love the movement of the basketball. But I mean, watching a team defend for 3 minutes straight and watching a team just pass the ball around the perimeter for 3 minutes, I can't. Who likes that? Somebody please tell me you like watching that. That's not good basketball. Like, even Wisconsin, when they would only score 50 points a game and they would wait until 1 second on the shot clock to shoot every time, they still shot with 1 second left on the shot clock. Like, they still were putting the basketball up in the shot clock. Virginia, the same way, right? They were slow-paced basketball teams who were still able to shoot the basketball. So there's a lot of time there in 30 seconds to be able to do that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I'm all in for the shot clock. I'm all in for the charge circle there. So we'd love to hear what you guys think, though, out there. If you got an opinion on it, definitely let us know there. But we got to hit our second ad break here. We're going to come back. We got some badge talk, just a little short ad break here. We got to prepare ourselves, right? We're going to be on 92.3 WLSQ pretty soon here. Got to get ready for the segment. So we got to hit the ad break here, a little short one, just to, practice. Come back. We're going to talk Badger basketball on the backside of this one here. So we'll see you in just a second. I told you, just a second. It's 10 seconds long. That's all it was there. So we are back. I want to get to a little Badger basketball here because Badgers, well, I can't say I loved what I saw. It wasn't great. But they won, right? They won. That's what matters there. 75-69 was the final there. A road win is a road win, right? End of the day, Big Ten basketball, a road win is a road win. The Badgers moved to 17-5, 7-4. In conference play there. Northwestern drops to 12-10, 3-8 in conference play. Didn't help the old adage that the Badgers can't beat a team with a winning record in the Big Ten because, well, Northwestern didn't have a winning record. But end of the day, losing a game like this would be even worse. Here's our buddy. Love to see him back in the comment section there. Oh, Red Shed. I was waiting for you. I was waiting for you all weekend. I was like, we talked about McGee the other day for Klesman. We talked about it. And I knew the Red Shed, if Klesman had a decent enough game, was going to come back for me. You think McGee makes that full court pass like Klesman did? Heck, nah, I agree. I do. Well, we haven't seen it, right? We don't know because McGee didn't get that same opportunity to make that full court pass. No, I will say this, Red Shed there. I loved what I saw out of Max Klesman in the second half. First half, not so much. I will tell you this, before the game, I saw on social media there on Twitter, I saw somebody post something about the Badgers, and I said, this feels like a game where Max Klesman's going to have himself a day. And I said 15 plus. Well, the first half didn't go so hot, right? Didn't go so hot for the Badgers in general. Aaron, first half stats for Wisconsin Badgers. I will tell you this now. It was not pretty. It was not pretty at all. And without John Tonje, it was even worse. So they were 8 for 28 from the floor in the first half, Aaron. 8 for 28. Without John Tonje, they were 3. They had made 3 shots in the entire first half. Without John Tonje. He went 5 for 10 in that first half there. 4 for 7 from downtown. John Tonje is the only reason why the Badgers were in this game at the half. It was 31-25. Outside of him, Badgers would have scored what? Blackwell had 5. And McGee had 2. Oh, and we had Nolan Winter with 2. So I guess without Tonje, Badgers would have had 9 points in total in the first half. So yeah, that's about how good this game started for the Wisconsin Badgers. They were shooting 28% at the half, and they were shooting 27% from downtown there. Blackwell had 1 3, but again, Red Shed, your boy Blackwell, again, the struggles of John Blackwell in this one again here. Got into foul trouble. It's the stupid play. It's just the stupid play of John Blackwell right now. He drives, and it irritates the crap out of me, Aaron, because he extends that arm out. Him and Tonje do the same darn thing. They drive, and they stick that arm out. And they get so pissed off when they're looking back at the ref, and they're like, oh, how was that a foul? It's blatant rule. You cannot extend the arm. And they make it so obvious they extend that arm out. You can put a shoulder down. You can put a shoulder down into a guy. You can give him a little nudge, right? You can't extend the arm. And every single time I see Blackwell extend the arm, I want to walk wherever he is. I want to kick him upside the head. It just drives me nuts. So Blackwell struggles there in that first half again, gets into some foul trouble. It's just Blackwell right now, early in games, is playing some of the worst basketball we've seen him play all year. It's some of the worst basketball. This game here, it was not his day. Not his day. Honestly, we can't get both. I don't know why, but if it ever happens, we're going to win the national championship. John Blackwell and John Tonje cannot play good on the same day. That's just how it goes. Because when did Blackwell just go for 30? Was that against USC? I'm pretty sure he went for 30 against USC there. Yes, 28. 28 against USC, and UCLA had 23. So I guess they did both play well against UCLA. They did both have a decent enough game against UCLA there. But, I mean, it's very rare. It's very rare there out of those two to have good days together. I'm watching this team right now, Aaron, and they came out in this game. They missed the first 14 of 16 shots. 14 of 16 shots in this game. That was a terrible start. They were lucky that, and this is what it is. This is point blank truth. They're lucky they were playing Northwestern. That's it. They were lucky they were playing Northwestern. If this was Michigan State, they were down 30 in the first half. If this was Illinois, they're down 30 in the first half. They were lucky that Northwestern was equally trying to miss shots in this game from what I was watching. It was just ugly basketball starts one. And Barnheiser didn't play. Barnheiser was out for Northwestern. That's a 17 points a game scorer right there. So that's one of those where you bless you there, Aaron.
Oh, thank.
That's one of those where Barnheiser isn't out there. It kind of, that didn't help Northwestern out there. So Northwestern went through their own kind of slump, but the Badgers they didn't come out with the spark. There was no energy, right? You come out on the road, you have to have some juice, right? You're playing Northwestern. You're playing on the road in the Big Ten. Sometimes the shooting doesn't travel, right? We saw that. Of course, we saw that in the first half. Shooting didn't travel. But what can travel? Your energy when you start out a basketball game. You can come with the juice, the fire. You can want it. Wisconsin didn't want it coming out of the gates in this one. Every 50-50 battle went to Northwestern. All the 50-50 battles went to Northwestern here. They were lazy getting out on shooters again. We talk about rotations of guys. Lazy getting out on shooters. They're going under screens, not over screens. They're getting lost in screens. They're getting lost ball watching. The ball's swinging around. They're not even in the area code of it. It was just, again, just all around a terrible start. And this is the Badgers have kind of been known for this season, are these bad starts, these slow starts to games where they come out of the gates and it just, I don't want to compare them to the Packers right now, but we compared them to the Packers the other day there, and I'm going to compare them back to Matt LaFleur and the Packers. Man, oh man, they come out of the gates slow. They just do. They come out of the gates slow. And I want to get, we got Red Shed here. Tanjay carried the game. Fun to see Gilmore build confidence. Clearly a 7-man rotation in March. Amos Janicki haven't done enough to earn more of an opportunity. I would agree. Amos, I don't even know what to think of him sometimes. He's like an Aleem Ford for me. I never was a huge fan of Aleem Ford because Ford was either hot or he wasn't. If he wasn't hot, if he missed the first 2 shots of the game, he wasn't going to hit a shot all night. Like, that's just how he was. Amos gets out of control, and defensively, some games he's there for me, and some games they just lose Amos. So I don't know with him at times. I wish, because he's athletic. Like, he can get after you on the defensive end. He just sometimes gets lost. He just gets lost down there. And the offensive end, he just jacks too much crap up there. And Janicki, I love Janicki. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be a star at some point. I think they're going to be able to build him into what potentially could be a star. Like that. I don't think he's going to be a Blackwell or a Tanjay, but I think he could be a Klesmit. I think he could be like a Klesmit or a Ben Brust or a Josh Gosser kind of guy. Like a Gosser, like a defensive guy who can knock down a couple threes. He can get to the rim for you. But he's, Captain America, more of a defensive guy there. Yep, I would agree with this. This is exactly what I agree with. The Red Shed said Amos and Ford, really talented basketball players who haven't figured out guard system. I would agree 100%. That is exactly what I'm saying with Liam Ford there too. It's just they had all the upside. You could see the upside. You could see the upside of what this player could be. It didn't seem like they could get to that point. And I really do hope that with enough work, Amos could get to that point. I just think right now he's not there. And I think he's going to be a piece where they're going to rotate him in. But what's the limit, right? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 6 minutes? What's his limit in a game that he can be on the floor there? So I would agree 100% with you there. I thought, I was talking about the rotations of the defense before. Big Steve helped off Nicholson too much. And that has a lot to do with the guards getting beat. Because Steve would help off too much, leaving Nicholson open, and he had multiple dunks there early on in this one. So that was a big problem for me, is that you did mention Gilmore there before. I have my player of the game as Carter Gilmore. I really do. He had his career day for points, 15 points. He went 3 for 5 from downtown, 5 for 7 from the floor in this one. But those 2 threes that he hit, there was about 11 minutes left in the game. And the Badgers, they were down big. I thought they were down like 8 at that point in this ball. They're 8 or 9. They were down 8 or 9 at that point in the ball game there. And Gilmore comes in, hits the first one. And I was like, all right. Like, that's a big time shot. That is a big time shot, right? And then he hit the second back-to-back possessions, hit back-to-back threes, a quick 6-0 scoring run by Carter Gilmore. That swung the momentum in this basketball game. Because up until that point, the Badgers were knocking down shots a little bit better in that second half. The second half was tremendously better for the Badgers. Like, you can't think that it wasn't a lot better than this first half there. But those back-to-back threes by Carter Gilmore, that was my play of the game. That was my changing of the game, whatever you want to call it. That completely flipped the script. 12:41 to go. Gilmore knocked down his first three there, made it 46-41. It was 46-38 before that. So it was an 8-point game with about 13 minutes left. And it seemed like Northwestern was just keeping it. They were keeping ahead. They weren't blowing the Badgers out. They were just keeping ahead. And then Gilmore knocks down that big time three. And then knocks down another one on the following possession there. And then he went, after Klesmit knocked down a couple of free throws, had a big time layup there. It says it was assisted by John. Was that the one? I'm trying to remember if that was the one on the run out there where John Tanjay missed the layup and then Gilmore cleaned it up. I think that was the one right there. So must have been later. Either way, Either way.
It did give him the lead. If you can, I can't think back, but 48-46 at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big-time bucket. It was a big-time bucket, and, at that point there, Gilmore was on. It was him and Klesmit went on this little run by themselves, the 2 free throws by Klesmit there, and then outside of that, they went on that little run. I think Carter Gilmore is my player of the game. That was your momentum switcher. On the road, you need a guy, if he's going to come in off the bench, great, but you need a guy to knock down some big shots, right? Those were 2 massive threes in crunch time, and I love seeing it. It looked like he had 3 threes. He looked athletic when he was shooting them threes. He looked like he was a well-known, bang, this guy has banged threes all his life. That's how he looked to me when he was knocking down his shots. Confident, cool, collected, caught it, chucked it up. It looked pretty. It looked pretty watching him out there. I loved what I was seeing out of Carter Gilmore. And just to hear the crowd, giving him the bid, cheering, saying Carter Gilmore, that was awesome. Because this is a guy in Carter Gilmore. And I saw a bunch of people were crapping on AJ Storr across social media. I'm not one who likes to crap on AJ Storr, but I've been seeing all these people crapping on AJ Storr, and it's been absolutely hilarious because he took all this money to go to Kansas instead of staying at Wisconsin. And if you look at the minutes per game on the season so far, AJ Storr currently is at 17.4. Carter Gilmore at Wisconsin's at 16.7. And the difference there, AJ Storr makes $1 million to play basketball. Carter Gilmore plays it for the better of it, right? And Carter Gilmore actually has the same number of made threes on the season as AJ Storr. That's awesome. This guy gets paid millions to do it. Carter Gilmore gets paid 0. And he was a walk-on. He was a build it up from the bottom up. He's been a 5-year guy in Madison, and I love it. I absolutely love it. This is a guy, you don't get many guys like this anymore. You don't. You don't get guys who just purely bleed red and white. You don't. They love Wisconsin. They want to be at Wisconsin. They're not at Wisconsin just because of money. They're at Wisconsin because they love the state of Wisconsin. They love playing for the Badgers. You don't get guys like that anymore. Carter Gilmore is one of them guys. And for him to have a day like this and have a moment like that just made it that much more special. And just made it that much more special where he's flipping his headband to a fan and he's just all through the roof. I love that. So Carter Gilmore, to me, that's my player of the game because it was just great to see a guy like that who's been up through this system get a day like this where it's Carter Gilmore day. And I see too many memes of they're like that Spider-Man where he's putting the glasses on. It's fuzzy and he sees LeBron James and then he puts it on the rest of the way and it's Carter Gilmore. I've seen a bunch of them. That's awesome. Just to see they call it a Gilly Day and all stuff like that. And I want people to remember this as Gilmore's Day. It's just awesome to see that kind of stuff. So Gilmore is my player of the game if you had to ask me. The Red Shed said, Gilmore and Winter doing wonders to crush guard can't develop players narrative. That Winter crossover was wild. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Winter, Aaron, I don't know if you were watching it, but Winter crossed up. He was 6'7", this guy was, and crossed him up out there and took it to the basket. I love that. I love that. I love seeing me a 7-footer who could put a guy on his backside. So that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, Winter had a 3 in this game. Where I was talking about with Gilmore before there, it was an athletic 3, right? He caught it in stride, bam, knocked it down. You love to see those kinds of things where it's in rhythm, right? We were talking about that going into this game where it was working the ball around, but working inside out, and that way allowing guys to step into shots. That's what we saw with the Gilmore shots. That's what we saw with that Winter big 3 there. He had a couple threes in this one here. It was just impressive all the way around moving of the basketball there by the Badgers in the second half. So we got more to get to here with the Badgers. I want to get to it. We're going to come back. Red Shed, love to see you there. If you got any other things or topics you want us to talk about the Badgers, make sure you're shooting them in there. Anybody else in the comments tonight, make sure you're shooting them in there. I want to hit the last ad break here. We're going to come back. We'll talk a little bit more Badgers here, and then we'll wrap it up for the day here. So we'll see you guys on the other side of the ad break.
This show is brought to you by these fantastic sponsors. Marshfield Motor Speedway, located 3 miles outside of Marshfield on County Road H. Tons of family fun for all ages. Great food, great drinks, great racing. I cannot think of a better way to spend a summer day or night than down at the track. Next is Sports Scene in Marshfield, Wisconsin, located at the Marshfield Mall. Get down there and see Al. He has everything you need from sports cards, memorabilia, jerseys, model stock cars. He's got it all. Sports Scene in Marshfield. And then we have Peggy Sue Beslick, Century 21. Do you want to find your dream home or maybe looking to sell your current property? Let Peggy Sue Bestlick at Century 21 help you with all of your housing or property needs.
You know what I always say there, Aaron? Buy, sell, get out of that clunker. That's what you got to do. New year, new you. No, new year, new you. That's what you got to do there. So Badgers, big win over Northwestern on the road there. I thought it was a good win. Wasn't great. First half, ugly, right? About as ugly of basketball as I've seen the Badgers play all season long. Second half there, it was like what Maryland did to the Badgers in Maryland is what the Badgers did to Northwestern in Northwestern. The threes started to fall. Everything started to look better for this Wisconsin team, and they started to move the basketball around. The offense looked like something, and it was flowing a lot better in the second half. So I like to see that there. I would say, my one thing that I hated was the double teams from Northwestern. It's like Wisconsin wasn't ready for him. And I talk about all the time where Crowell, he's got to draw that double, right? Because I want him to. I want him to be a passer coming out of there. And Crowell and Winter, I thought they weren't ready for that double team at times. At one point, I saw Crowell get it and turn towards the baseline through a double team. Dude, there ain't nobody out there. That's the baseline. That's the crowd. Like, there ain't nobody out there. I don't know what you're turning for. So that would be my one thing, I guess. I came away where it was like, I hate this, right? That was my biggest takeaway from that. Outside of that, I saw a lot of people saying guard didn't have the Badgers ready for this game. You can only get a team so ready for a game. You can only bring so much juice. At some point, the players, this is a veteran-led team. There's like 10 juniors and seniors on this team. You have to be able to adjust. You have to be able to bring the juice yourself at some point in games there. And I thought, I do agree that you want to say the adjustments. How much time do you really have to make an adjustment? But, I heard a good one. It was in the, I think it was in the Lockdown Badgers I was listening to. Ryan Herring's good friend of the show. And he said it perfectly. He's like, when you go into a timeout, you only have so much time that you can talk to guys, right? And if you're spending those 30 seconds telling the guys, hey, you got to get the energy up, and you're jacking them up, you have no time to make adjustments. So you have to be able to make those adjustments in timeouts. So it's on the players, it's on the veterans to get this team up and get them going throughout a game. So I guess that's where I want to blame it on guard for the adjustments, because I thought the Badgers didn't adjust to the game well. But I'm looking at the vets in this one and saying they had to be better. They had to be better about getting their guys up for this game too. So it comes on the players. It comes on Greg Gard a little bit there. Looking at what the Red Shed said, he said, obviously this team is outpacing expectations. Is this season already a success for Gard? Future looks bright with talent on the roster. He's proven he can plug holes, program feel good. Yes, you would say this at this pace right now, they're blowing records out of the water at this point here. The 3-point record, the total points in games record. I mean, they're blowing records out of the water with this team right now. This team was picked to finish 12th in the Big Ten. 12th. Right now, I don't know what they're going to be ranked as of tomorrow. They did drop that game at this game at Maryland. I think Maryland will probably jump into the rankings there. They won 4 in a row. The Badgers 1-1 in the week. They might drop. I don't know if they drop out of the top 25, but I think they probably drop into the 20 range there for sure in the rankings there. So, I mean, at this point, it's a success. I mean, you've won 17 games up until this point. The schedule doesn't get favorable. Like, you look at the schedule, the upcoming schedule for the Badgers, this next game out here against Indiana on Tuesday, that's not going to be an easy one. You have that game at Iowa, but then you have at Purdue, Illinois at home, Oregon at home, Washington at home, and then you travel to Michigan State. You have Minnesota yet. That's going to be a tough game. I hate saying that Minnesota's going to be a tough game, but that's still a tough team, and you're playing in the barn for that one. And then you have Penn State to wrap it up. And Aaron, I'm going to be honest with you. I know you're a Penn State guy. Penn State is not a bad team. They got dog walked the other day. I think that was Ohio State.
I think it was. Yeah, they've kind of fallen out though. They're not good in conference play. Like everybody was hopeful, but I mean, I'm not gonna say they're bad, but they're not great. You know what I mean? Like it's a shame, but it is. I
is what it is, right?
Yeah, it is what maybe one day there'll be a basketball school. It's going to take like $100 million just to be relevant, I think. But it's no, I mean, all the things you like that second half though. Watching that back bits and pieces of that like throughout. I mean, like the way Tanjay heated up. Obviously, we talk about like the collection of guys, right? Like, and it's I don't know how you look at it. Is it good they can flip the switch and just boom, bang them from 3 to come back? And like, yes, absolutely. But do you think they're I'm not going to say are they like one-dimensional that way, but I know they favor shooting. Like, we talked about it at nauseum. They love to shoot from outside, like, and that's kind of like, well, if you don't have that going, can you pound the paint and still be competitive against good teams? That's
no. No, because
not to be negative, I'm just saying, like, that's a way in which they get points. That's
no, I agree. What I would say is you're going to have games where the 3-point is not falling, and you got to find other ways that you can score the basketball. So you don't want to get away, and that's why we say always utilize the post. Keep the post involved in the basketball game, whether it's passing, whether it's scoring. You got to keep the post area involved a little bit. It helps with cutters. It helps with everything. You got to keep cutting the lane. You got to keep moving the basketball. You got to keep moving it side to side, getting cutting lanes, getting driving lanes open. I think where the Badgers run into the most of their problems is the ball sticks to one side of the floor. And when that ball sticks to one side of the floor, you don't have that ability to get guys open, cutting, whatever it is. So I think that's where the Badgers kind of get themselves into trouble. I think you can survive with the outside shot. I think right now, Tanjay needs to fill into the role where Tanjay's a closer. Like, he needs to know that he's the closer, right? I love John Blackwell, but Blackwell's not my closer. John Tanjay is my closer. When I need a big-time shot, I'm going to that guy. I'm going to John Tanjay to get the job done. So I think with Tanjay, where I run into a problem with him is he gets so hot to start a game, but then all of a sudden he goes away. And like, you're like, John Tanjay hasn't scored in 12 minutes. And then all of a sudden he's coming back. I want John Tanjay to stay consistent throughout a basketball game where, we can go to him, we can go away. We can go to him, we can go away. And then at the end of the game, I can say, John, you've been hot for this entire game. Let's get you going again, right? I think that's where I'm at with John Tanjay at this point. He's my closer. I need him involved in the game, whatever it is. I don't want to hear the excuse of, oh, well, they made defensive adjustments on us and they took Tanjay away. No, because if they made the adjustment, you can make the adjustment to get Tanjay open, to find ways to get Tanjay involved. I hate that when they say, well, we just couldn't get him involved because, they made these adjustments. Well, make the adjustment then. Make the adjustment coming out of the half to switch things up and get your guys going, because they should not be able to take away guys just that easy, right? But that's where I think having guys like, and we talked about the other day, I know Red Shed was mentioning it there with Max Klesman just being a defender. That's why I think you need guys like Klesman where he still is a threat. Because when he's a threat, you can't just focus on a guy like Tanjay. You can't just focus on a guy like Blackwell. And that's why I'm saying you got to have some kind of post presence, because if you don't have a post presence, they don't care about Steven Krall down there. They don't care about Nolan Winter. They're able to just key in on John Tanjay, the Johns, right? John Tanjay and John Blackwell, and everybody else is kind of irrelevant to him out there. That's why I think Carter Gilmore is instrumental right now coming off the bench. Same with Kamari McGee. I know, Kamari, he's got his moments, right? But both those guys, they can score the basketball. And I think that's what is a different kind of element for this Badger team, is they can score it in many different ways. And they got to continue with that. If they don't, I think you get too complacent, right? And the problem with the Badgers is when they get against some of these teams like Oregon, like Michigan State, like a Purdue, and Illinois again, is the big guys. The Badgers struggle with big guys. They have to be able to adjust to big guys in games here, because otherwise you could face some craptastic team. I was watching Liberty the other day. They're not craptastic. They're a good team, but they're a mid-major, right? They're a mid-major team. And you're going to get against a mid-major team with a big guy, that could lead to problems, right? You haven't played well against big guys all year. That's going to lead to problems. So I definitely think that they have to find some kind of post presence and some kind of defensive scheme. Guards got to work on some kind of defensive scheme where either he's helping down with big guys, whatever it is, right? Crashing down, where maybe he's doubling the post. I don't know. Rotationally, you watch Nebraska do it all the time. And I'm watching them tonight here. They're playing Oregon. They're up by 6 right now. But Nebraska does it where they have the baseline guy. He traps down and he'll help with the big guy. And that it's different. It's different than what a lot of other teams will do, where they'll just trap with random. They always trap with opposite baseline. Then you have to skip pass to get it back. So you have guys rotate down. So we'll kind of see what the Badgers do to adjust to some of these big guys. They're going to have a V6 when they take on Illinois there. Purdue has got the big fella. Purdue always has a big fella there. So you got to watch out for Purdue there. Iowa there. Yeah, but Indiana, who they got coming up next year, has got Ballo on the inside. And if you remember Arizona from last year there, Ballo can be a nuisance on the inside there. He's averaging 14.5 points per game and 10 rebounds. So that's a guy you got to keep in check there. So the Badgers will be tested again on the inside against Indiana. So I'm interested to see how Greg Gard kind of schemes up for that one. But to continue on what the Red Shed said there, future looks bright with this roster. He's proven he can plug holes. Program feel good. Yes. Yes, because I like what he does. He makes depth at each position, right? You think behind the point guard spot, you have Kamari McGee. You think behind your big guys, you have Gilmore, you have Amos right now. Behind like a Max Klesman or a Tanjay, you have Janicki. And then you can go a little bit deeper. You have Ilvers down there. You're going to have Greppy. I think Greppy is going to be a fantastic big guy. He's got some size. That dude's got some size to him already, but he's just not fully developed there. So we're waiting on him yet. But I think he could be a good big guy on the inside there. So I like what they have talent-wise. And then you got, King Azur coming in from De Pere there in this next class. He's a fantastic shooter. I was watching him the other night. He was in Madison Memorial playing. And he had a fantastic night for them there. So I love what he's been able to do for De Pere there. I can't wait to get him onto campus here and see what he's got. But the Badgers have a decent enough recruiting class coming in. They can still add transfers, so I'm interested to see there. The thing with it is like a John Tanjay. Greg Gard finds guys who are going to fit his system. And he sees John Tanjay wasn't you didn't see the greatness until he came into the system. Before that, I mean, he had a banged up year the year before, but he wasn't as fine-tuned. And then he came in and Greg Gard saw that potential and just let him just run with it. Just run with it there. So I think a lot of it has to do with the way that Greg Gard allows these guys to just be themselves within the offense. And that's huge. That's a big difference from what we saw in the past there with Wisconsin. Kirk Penny came in. He kind of switched it up. They're more running this run and gun European dribble drive offense here. A lot of nail stuff. And I like it. I like what they got there. But like I said before, I think they have to avoid staying too stagnant with it. I think they have to avoid keeping it on one side of the floor. They have to keep transitioning floor side to side across the court there, because if you stay just stagnant on the one side, you're kind of limiting yourself. You got to be able to move basketball around. So they stick to that. This Badger team is going to be just fine. I am excited about the future of this team. I think Greg Gard has proven year after year that there's a lot of people out there that hate him. And he goes through some crappy games, right? But end of the day, if he has a good February, I think he shuts up a lot of haters, because most of his teams do collapse when it comes to February. If he has a good February, and this is what I want people to understand. In this month of February, right? You're going to play Indiana, Iowa, Purdue, and then you have Illinois, Oregon, and then Washington in the month of February, right? If you win your home games, you'd be 4-2, right? You beat Indiana, you beat Illinois, you beat Oregon, you beat Washington, you're 4-2. You drop one of those games to a ranked opponent in Illinois or Oregon on your home floor, you go 3-3 in the month of February. I don't see that as like, we need to blow up the town. Like, I don't see that as we need to fire Greg Gard. You're still 20-8 at the end of that, right? If you go 3-3 in the month of February, you're still 20-8. You picked up a couple of good wins there. You'd have that win over Indiana. You'd have that win against Illinois, and then whoever there. You'd still be 20-8. You'd still be solid heading into the month of March, where you take on Michigan State, Minnesota, and Penn State. You'd be pretty darn. I mean, you'd be fourth in the Big Ten there. What is the Big Ten standings? I think they're 7-4, 7-4 in the Big Ten. So you'd be sitting at 10-7 in Big Ten play. You're most definitely into the Big Ten tournament. I know the last 3 teams or whatever in the Big Ten don't make the tournament. So you'd be definitely squarely in the Big Ten tournament. I feel like a 3-3 February. Like, I'm not saying knock on wood, I want him to go 6-0 in February, but I don't think at this point, as long as Greg Gard doesn't have a colossal blow up where you drop all 6 games in the month of February, I don't think that you count this season is by so much past success. This is utterly amazing what Greg Gard has been able to do 2 years in a row, being picked to finish 12th in the Big Ten and ends up near the top 2 years in a row. That's ridiculous. But now what do we draw past success, right? Because now you got to get to March and you got to win a couple games, because the talk of the town is right now, the biggest thing that they have against Greg Gard is he has not been able to take his team past the second weekend with his guys. He took Bo's guys, right? Bronson Canning, Nigel Hayes. He took them to the Sweet 16. He hasn't taken his guys to the Sweet 16. So now that's the next step you got to make. This is a team where you should be able to do something like that. We'll see what happens. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So, I mean, yeah, I'm excited about the future of this team right now, but now it's about Greg Gard taking his team to the next level and proving that, hey, I'm a darn good coach who can get my team deep into March. That's what we got to seek it now. So definitely some great question there. Great question there from the Red Shed. Aaron, I mean, we're at the end. We're at the end of the show here. Anything else we got to wrap us up here for the day? Anything else you're seeing across the interwebs right now?
There was something. Let me see if I can. Oh, well, a little bit I did watch. I don't know if you know, you probably do. The NFL went completely to flag football for the Pro Bowl now, which, I mean,
Sadly, yes.
Basically, I guess this happened a couple of years ago, really. But, like, watching it just, like, bits and pieces, man, that is, like, I don't know. I'd be hard-pressed to find watching something more boring than that. That was just, I don't know. And, like, even with the pass, like, I saw him coming after Burrow, and they just, like, throw his flags off his his midsection there, and I'm just like, dude, what are we doing? Like, what? Like, I don't know. I'm not saying that they need to go out there and do jacked up like they used to do on ESPN, and people get their heads taken off in the middle of the field, but man, like, what's the point? Like, I just don't.
I don't think that's why I don't see the Pro Bowl as being as prestigious as what it once was. Maybe it's cool to get to selection, but after that, being in the game itself is like, you made it, but you're playing flag football. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, I did not get a chance to watch any of it, so I couldn't really speak on it from this year. But from what I've seen in the past, it's, if you like entertainment, I guess. If you like football, not so much. Like, it's just completely different to watch there. So, I mean, it was one of those kind of things there. But hey, we got Super Bowl talk coming up this week. We got lots to get into with Super Bowl. We're going to have the Badger recap. They're going to play Indiana on Tuesday there. We're going to have the recap of that game coming up here on Wednesday on the show. We got lots to get into this week. So make sure you guys are tuning into the show this week here. So with that, for Aaron and myself, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll catch you guys back here on Wednesday. But until then, see ya.